Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Enlightening Illini with the Illini Union Board. My name is Jocelyn Flores, and I am the president of the Illini Union Board. And today we have someone from C.O.A.S.T with us today. We have Dementro Powell to talk a little bit more about his role on the C.O.A.S.T team and what they do and all the fun stuff. Thank you for joining us today, Dementro.
Thank you very much. I'm very glad to be here.
All right, so can you explain what C.O.A.S.T is and what your new role is?
So yeah, absolutely. So as Johnson said, my name is Dementro Powell. I've currently been here for 8 years, and this role I have been in for 7 weeks. So I just moved over here into the University of Illinois Police Department as the new director of community development and engagement. So with this position, there's lots of exciting things in the works for it, because as I said, it is new, and I'm creating a blueprint for the position. So I get to do all kind of things within order to basically create the position as I go. And in that position, I'm building different programs, designing different workshops, that sort of thing to kind of get engaged with the community. And one of those specific areas is that I work with the C.O.A.S.T team, and C.O.A.S.T stands for Community Outreach and Support Team. It is a team of officers mostly who sits on this committee, and they're doing a lot of systematic outreach programs and things of that nature throughout the community. One that they're heavily involved with is dealing with the Boys and Girls Club. And part of that team, not only is there officers and myself, but there is also social workers who will be involved with that team to kind of handle situations who after hours. So when the counseling center is not open, so after 5, and they have to answer to certain calls that may require somebody to do some kind of type of counseling or has those needs and that sort of stuff, we'll have somebody to be able to kind of come out and help address those issues. That isn't necessarily a police cop or officer. So coming from there, the team was brought to us by Chief Carey, who started in July. And after that, she created the team and, brought it from her previous job. And so we had just been kind of creating this as we go throughout the semester and that sort of stuff. And then it included my job and what we're going to do with that team.
So how do you envision the Illini Union Board being a part of the work that C.O.A.S.T is doing?
Oh, okay. Well, the Illini Union Board made up the students, that they are, and the student leaders here on campus, part of the student leadership on campus. One of the goals is for C.O.A.S.T to kind of connect with different people throughout the community, regardless of who they are and what they're kind of doing. And so we want to kind of do out of the box type of thinking, programming, and collaborations throughout the community. And so IUB being the prestigious board that they are, I think that will be a dynamic connection in terms of doing things and connecting with the students, which is one of the biggest populations that we're kind of looking at here, especially with Uipd, since we do serve the college campus, and being IUB is a big programming board. I can see us doing lots of collaborations when it comes to programs, getting IUB involved in some of the training, like I mentioned, with like going through the police academy, that sort of stuff, to kind of see and be advocates at some point, for police officers and things of that nature, because now you have a better understanding of some of those things that that they experience on the day-to-day. And this is not to say and put it into a context of where you are now, I guess, in a sense, making up or hiding the fact that things are wrong in a situation, because that is definitely not the case at all. But having a different point of view and because you're now experienced it and be able to talk on certain things when you hear things within your population, that sort of stuff, when other students are saying this, but well, hey, that's not really how that kind of goes, be able to kind of have that dialogue, because now you have some experience about what's going on. So yeah, like I even thought about doing things in terms of just, in the back of my mind every once in a while, like when you're doing movie stuff, or maybe the police would be involved in, showing movies out on the quad and that sort of thing. But they'd be like cop related. that sort of stuff, just fun. 21 Jump Street comes to mind, things like that,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff, just really fun. And knowing that, the police officers here definitely have your back, and especially with going through C.O.A.S.T and that sort of thing, because they would love to do it.
No, definitely. And the Illini Union Board is excited to hopefully work with you soon. And I think you touched on this a little bit, but if you can build more, what are you hoping to accomplish with your new role?
Absolutely. One of the things is to have, hopefully, accomplish some civility. So when people are wanting to get their point across, as well as a community that is like kind of working to build together, I want to be able to have those conversations to where people are able to listen and actually listen, because I feel like there's lots of conversations, things like that being had, but it's coming from heated passion, and rightfully so. But you need to get to a place to where you're able to communicate effectively to one another. So hopefully with this position and being like the mediator, I guess, between the police and the community, those are some things that we can work on together to kind of help resolve. I also want to kind of create programs that are open and involving, like not just the university, but to the greater Champaign-Urbana community. And these programs could be like committees, or would involve providing learning and growing opportunities for the community as well. As the police, they offers all kind of things that people may not know of. So I want to get to students and staff and the community into a place to where they're coming into this space feeling safe and secure to be able to come into this place and take take advantage of some of those things. And I'm also kind of building up a committee of sorts. And so this committee would be a community development and engagement committee, where they would be putting on different programs and act as like an auditor of what the police are doing, trying to hold them accountable, because I think that's very responsible, but not just holding them accountable per se, but giving them the understanding and building the fundamentals as to why, and what you're being held accountable for, because although you may not be the person or the group or the office or department or what have you that may have done some of the things that are currently out there happening, but you are part of a wider unit to where, these things where people are blaming you or faulting you for something, that sort of stuff. And these are the cards that has been laid down for us, right? And so if that's the game we have to play, then those are the cards we've been dealt with. And so how do we got to figure out how do we play those hands and that sort of thing in order to better our community.
No, totally. And that's amazing. And so you talk about the campus community and their feelings. How do you think the campus community feels about UIPD and law enforcement in general?
For sure. So far, so like I said, in the 7 weeks I kind of been here, been out there as much as I possibly can with COVID going on, and talking with different groups, be it students, staff, faculty, that sort of thing, and trying to get in their vibe. And from what I gather so far, I mean, there is like a mixed bag of emotions and feelings involved, where a lot of people are reacting to the reaction of others and not necessarily what they are personally feeling or had a personal experience with. They're seeing things in social media or on TV or what have you, and they're reacting to that without knowing all the details or the facts. And this is not to say that some of the things we see and hear or anything like that about are not valid, because they certainly are, but without a shadow of a doubt. But once you start fueling hate with hate, then you don't necessarily have a good thing coming. There's usually result in a disaster of some sort, right? And so I want people to get into that place to where they're able to kind of listen in what's going on, and be able to kind of actually hear. Because one of the things I hear a lot about is for the police to be transparent. And so I kind of push back a little bit. So what exactly does that mean? So when you want transparency, and if they give you facts, and they present those facts to you, and if it's not what you expected or what you wanted to hear, but that is transparency when it's right there in front of you, are you ready to receive that? Because some of the information that they're trying to show or want to show is not necessarily in their quote unquote favor, in terms of what they're kind of looking for. And so they need to be prepared, that people need to be prepared for that, because sometimes, I'm finding that people are in places where they're making things up, for sensationalism, and just to be, have a platform. And then there's other times where, I'm finding that, yeah, the police are, definitely at fault for this. But then either side and either way it goes, if you're out there in the community and, like we having protests and things like that, and you starting, like I said earlier, about fueling hate with hate, calling, police pigs, and what exactly are you expecting to get out of that? And so I ask these questions and I kind of push back on that. And so I often wonder, what is your ultimate game plan? Should that happen, and what type of response or action, they are expecting. So, and using derogatory words like that and that sort of thing, because to me, especially being an African American, if you're out there calling, police pigs or other groups, certain group, derogatory comments and things of that nature, you might as well be calling me the N-word and so forth, because it has that kind of effect on the people that, that are in the community.
No, 100%. And you kind of talked on this a little bit, but building on it, what changes do you want to see in the next couple of years regarding your new role in the campus community?
Sure. So I would like to see people viewing police differently, while also having police doing more to kind of engage in the community, where they are doing, public service and interacting with the community on a day-to-day in a more, I guess, positive manner. Like, I want to bring back the days where, like, when I was growing up in police and you had a flat tire and they're there in a pinch, to help you out with that flat tire, that sort of stuff, and kind of and bring back that type of mentality when it comes to policing. I also like to see more interaction, with police here at the station, like I was saying a little earlier, more in a fun manner. There's different resources here, like get involved with ride-alongs. Like, I want to encourage that as much as possible, so that people can actually see some of the things that the police are dealing with and how they are dealing with said issues. Because there's been situations where things I totally would have thought was just like blow up. And I've seen, I've been in the car and I've seen how the students, for instance, jaywalking or something like that, they don't care about that. They really don't. And so until you bring attention, to yourselves, and you're giving them you're flipping them the bird and you're telling them the F off and, just all these obscenities and things like that, then that's when they end up taking action. So you brought attention to yourself. Or getting involved with, I had the honor of graduating from the police academy here a couple of years ago, and I got to see day-to-day things that they kind of go through the simulator, all those types of things. So I think it's very important. So just to kind of get involved in some of the resources, so you can have a better understanding what they're experiencing, as well as being in a comfortable place eventually, hopefully, to be able to have dialogue and again, discuss these issues. And finally, I think there is a discussion of officers like having accountability, and like I was saying a little bit earlier, for crimes on civilians, specifically Black civilians. And so, but in order to do that, there needs to be a fundamental understanding, as to why these officers should be taking on responsibility and having the tools and motivation and natural ability to kind of do so. And so officers should, like, in my opinion, should want to the right, want to do right by the citizens in which they are serving and the community that they are serving.
All right, thank you so much. Those are all wonderful things that you shared with us. Any final thoughts before we wrap things up here?
I just hope that, throughout my years here, that I, as I earn my PhD, because that's another thing that's having me here, but with this job, that it does flourish into something that will help bridge the gap, in between our communities, the students, regardless of who you are, what you look like, what your interests are, and all that kind of thing, as well as the departments, and reach a point to where those things that, the things that we're encountering now are things of the past. We learn from them in order to kind of move forward.
Thank you so much for joining us, Dementro, and thank you for everyone who's watching. Please stay tuned next time for our last and final episode of this season of Enlightening Illini. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you for having.